time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
And good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It is July 2nd. It's 8 o'clock, and it is time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Brian, how are you doing on this holiday weekend?
I feel like a great celebration is 48 hours away. We're recording this Sunday, July 2nd. My favorite holiday of the year, July 4th, just around the corner. It's a day where we celebrate not just the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, but it is also a day where we celebrate our freedom from tyranny, from evil, from dictatorships,
from oppression,
from monarchies,
from oligarchies.
Why is my forehead shiny?
Your little...
From shiny foreheads. That is what we have. I'm doing great, Ron. It is Sunday night. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year. And I only say that because July 4th falls on a Tuesday, which means short work week for America. Our English friends over across the Atlantic, they're working a regular 5-day week. They don't even understand what the point of a holiday today is.
Sure.
But no. We're working one day. Then we get a day off where we drink starting about 10 o'clock in the morning. I will be picking up a 15-pack of Budweiser, not Bud Light.
No.
Budweiser. Then I'm going to start day drinking. Broke. Of course, I will be grilling up some hot dogs and burgers.
Nice.
And then I'll be lighting some fireworks in my backyard, hopefully waking up on the morning of the 5th with all 10 fingers.
Godspeed on that. Thoughts and prayers.
Ron?
Yes.
How are you doing?
I can't complain, Brian. I took tomorrow off, so I have the ever popular 4-day holiday weekend. So I've just been drinking at 10 a.m. every day. So it's just how I'm living my life. It's how I long to be.
Walk me through your day drinking of today.
I actually wasn't day drinking. I saved it, Brian. I saved it because I wanted my very first drink to be our drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Sláinte.
Prost.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking this week, my friend?
Today, I bring to the table Blue Point Imperial Sunshine. Ron, you may say, what is Imperial Sunshine? I'm going to break it down very quickly. I'm going to say that it's a blonde ale with orange and natural flavors. I'm also going to say that it's easy to drink and a heavy hitter. Imperial Sunshine is Blue Point Brewing Company's infamous blonde ale with orange and a cult following. Tangy and punchy, this beer is sure to give you some sunshine stories after a few rounds. Imperial Sunshine is also inspired great other choices from the Blue Point Brewing Company, which I forgot to cut and paste. Coming in at a score of 9.6 ABV, Ron, this is shaping up to be a fun evening.
All right. Take a sip. Let us know what you think.
Ooh, it's thick.
Like you.
It is not a lager. It's not a Pilsner. This one is going to hit home very quickly. Ron, what do you got?
Well, where's Blue Point out of? You forgot to mention that.
Oh, Blue Point is coming out of Narragansett, Long Island.
All right. I thought we had talked about drinking beers from each other's locale, because that's why this week I'm bringing Evil Twin Brewing from New York City to the table, Brian. That's right. Their new release, the New York City Bagel Tax, is no joke. That is right. That is their new release, Brian. It is a triple pale ale using the Mosaic and Motueka hops. This is clocking in, Brian, at a solid 10%. Oh, it's gonna be a fun night. Let's look at that that cloudy, hazy triple IPA. And let's take a sip here and see how it goes down.
Oh my goodness. That looks hoppy.
You know what? It's not too hoppy. This is a really good beer for a triple. Oh yeah. I mean, you get that alcohol kick right at the end.
Keep sipping, keep sipping.
Yeah, no, that's a solid beer. I mean, Evil Twin, always good. And again, the New York bagel tax is no joke, as we have spoken about, I believe, on this podcast previously.
And as somebody who lives in New York City, I'm completely have been unaffected by the bagel tax.
How is that?
I've had bagels. The price is just the same as it always was.
Okay.
When did we talk about having beers from each other's locale?
We didn't. I just wanted to make you feel bad.
Fuck, you know how paranoid I get.
Jeez,
you had me feeling terrible.
My apologies. I mean, not really. It's fun to screw with you every now and then.
Okay.
All right. Next up, there's something written on Ron's whiteboard. Is another reminder about parking garages. It is not. The parking garage situation was taken care of a while back. And yes, I did get some color. Yesterday, I did do a little day drinking at Moss Mill Brewing over in Huntington Valley. So I did have a little time in the sun. Got a little color. Didn't get too burned. So I managed my sun exposure correctly yesterday.
And when you're saying sun exposure, you're talking about the SUN exposure.
Exactly.
We know that you have, you've been having sex with just hundreds of women over the course of your lifetime, and you've been able to avoid a sun SON exposure for that whole period of time.
Yes, you are correct in that analysis. All right, it's time for Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I'm bothering me this week.
Really?
Last Sunday, you're a witness to it. I thought to myself earlier today, what was my beef of the week? What was the thing that bothered me the most?
Okay.
And I looked back at my week, my Friday, my Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and then I got to Sunday and I was like, ooh, something did happen on Sunday that truly upset me. And it was my performance during Can You Beat Ron?
Was it?
During our After Dark, for folks over on our Patreon. See, now you're nodding your head being like, yeah, I do understand where you're coming from.
Now I get where your head's at.
So for those who are members of our Patreon and have basically just, how do I say this? Come to just become a family, if you would. Once a month, we play a Can You Beat Ron? Or alternatively, we play Can You Beat Brian? It's a game that we play. It's behind the paywall, so only our Patreon subscribers at a bronze or higher level, join us. Come on the show. And we play a game. This month it was called Can You Beat Ron? And I designed a game. It was the month of June that we were celebrating. A lot of people assumed that I was just going to put together a game for Pride Month. But no.
Wouldn't it be that?
We have already played Pride Month. So we had to come up with a new one. And here we came up with Gun Awareness Month. We lots of pictures with little children and guns, which I personally thought was just dandy. Anyway, as we were playing, there were just multiple instances, I believe 2 that I can think of off the top of my head, where my performance failed. Not only you, Ron, not only our Patreons who were playing along, but also America. I failed you. There was one time where, if I remember correctly, I neglected to put the answer to one of our questions.
You did, yeah.
Causing everyone to question my ability to pull off a game seamlessly.
There were questions to your face and also privately behind your back.
I can't even imagine what the group chat was like during that period of time. I got banned from that group chat years ago for unsolicited penis pictures. Not my penis, just the pictures that were downloaded off the internet.
Yeah, just random ones you would say.
But then the big failure was when we got to the tiebreaker round, and I simply just got frazzled. skipping ahead on the slides and just skipped the slide where it was asking the question, and I went right to the slide where we were answering the question. It was embarrassing. You deserve better. Our Patreons deserve better, and America deserve better. And I want you to know I've taken it to heart. It's going to be a long 2 months where I'm going to have that dark cloud floating after me as I walk down the street. But when we come back in August at the end of the month, I'm going to tell you people, join our Patreon between now and then. Join it tonight if you want. But I will be proving myself worthy of being the champ.
Brian, all I can ask you is be best.
Thank you. I'd like to be better.
Be best. Don't just try for better. Be best. Yes, sir.
Ron.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes, sir.
What's bothering you?
What's bothering me is when one of your regular restaurants starts to go downhill in quality. So you're familiar with Iron Hill Brewing, Brian. We've gone to a few of their locations here in the Philadelphia area. We have one close to our house here that we've gone to repeatedly over the years, and just the food quality has gone downhill. I have a turkey burger that I normally get there, and tonight it was just the bun was soggy, the avocado was brown. It was just looked like a hot mess. It looked like there was no pride taken in the work. So that's my beef. I hope they can. I hope they can turn out of that slide, but
Sure,
it's not good.
Maybe a bad sous chef.
Perhaps, but it feels like, because I've gone to another one of their locations a few times recently and gotten the very same thing, and it's been significantly better at that location. So maybe it is a sous chef, maybe a line chef, maybe the executive chef not familiar with cooking burgers, maybe a server having to fill in for a sous chef.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different possibilities there. But yeah, very upsetting.
You also have to admit you have a very high standard when it comes to burgers as somebody who makes a, how do I say this, top shelf burger.
I mean, I make a decent burger. Been playing around with smash burgers lately. I'll have to make some for you the next time you come down.
Say smash burgers. What are we smashing?
Well, you smash it down so it's that very thin burger patty. So you throw a couple of those, some cheese on a roll. It's good stuff.
Sounds good. What kind of sauce are we using?
What would you like? I like. Have you tried mayo racha yet?
I am not going to try mayo racha because there's such a shortage on social media of videos about sriracha. Even though it's sriracha, isn't it? It's not SIR. It's SRI.
I couldn't tell you. Well, this is a mix of sriracha and mayonnaise.
Sriracha.
Mayo racha.
Do you like it?
I do like it. It goes good on a turkey burger. I will say.
We know that Ron likes everything spicy.
I'm a El Caliente, as you would say.
You know what I've been hooked on for the past couple months?
Crystal
pickled jalapeno.
Oh,
no,
pickled
crystal meth.
Sorry.
Pickled jalapenos. I know they've been part of my diet for years.
Right.
When ordering nachos per se, different places, whatnot. But I saw recently that they were part of the salad bar at the place where I normally have my salads made for lunch during the week. And I said to somebody, hey, let me, can you throw in some pickled jalapenos? And holy cow, they literally took that salad.
They do.
Higher level. I'm all about them now.
I make I make rice bowls for lunch during the week, and I always make sure to throw some pickled jalapenos in there.
So good.
It takes your food game to the next level.
Yeah, it adds a lot.
Billy asking a good question. Has anyone tried Cola Chup, the Pepsi ketchup? I did see that advertised the other day. It is a ketchup apparently with a cola flavor to it, which I could see maybe if you used it to make like a barbecue sauce with it, because you always see like those soda based sauces they make for ribs or whatnot. But I don't know how I feel about just the straight Cola Chup ketchup Cola Chup.
I feel very bad about that. There is no reason that we should have a ketchup that tastes like Pepsi. There's no need for that.
I'm with you.
It's disgusting.
All right, coming up, we've got our stories of the week. Those are the stories that we really want to make sure we don't miss, that we make sure get coverage for the week. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
For my story, we have a bit, but it's the drag queens where we
Right.
talk about, various other stories that go on where children's safety is put at risk, where children are being groomed, assaulted, molested, just terrible stories. And yet the right doesn't move to them. But I found a story earlier today about the ultimate damage to a child. Not that I root for damage to children. I don't want people to believe that. But for this story, we have to go to Shenyang in China, city there, where 3 people have been arrested this past week in connection with the death of a Chinese boy who was allegedly beaten to death by his martial arts instructor. The boy was 8. He was declared dead at the 3rd People's Hospital in Shenyang on June 18th. Later that day, the owners and one coach from his martial arts club were arrested in connection to it. The parents had enrolled the child in a martial arts school just one day before his death and paid the equivalent of $1,440 for 1 year of coaching. Seems, for a whole year, not that expensive. Not sure if they're going to be getting a refund. The parents, however, subsequently received a very disturbing video in which they saw their son looking pale and covered in bruises. Stills from the footage of the alleged beating circulated online, showing the boy huddled on the floor, wearing an orange T-shirt from the training school's name on the back. During the video, a woman's voice can be heard telling the boy that if he keeps collapsing, his mom has told him that he will not be picked up for a full year. It shows a man trying to prop up the child while the boy complains about being kicked by the instructor. However, unfortunately, the boy's heart gave out 20 minutes before he got to the hospital, was pronounced death immediately. So one of the things that not only do we have to protect our children from are school teachers, drag queens, priests, but we also need to keep our children safe from martial arts inspectors.
Brian, you've done a deep dive into this story. Any truth to the rumor that this kid was sick on the day they practiced wax on, wax off?
That is an incorrect rumor. Okay. However, it does look like he was handed his Popeyes uniform right before he showed up. He was going to be eating biscuits dry with no beverage. That might have been what finally took him down.
You got to go with the strawberry biscuit when you go Popeyes these days.
Strawberry biscuit?
Strawberry biscuit with a little bit of frosting on it. It's delightful.
That sounds like a donut.
I mean, it's basically, it's a sweet treat, Brian. Kind of like you. You're a little sweet treat.
Aww. Ron.
Yes.
What's your story of the week?
So my story of the week is about a man who died after trying to drink all 21 cocktails on a menu during a family vacation in Jamaica. We have a gentleman here by the name of Timothy Southern. He was
he looks British.
He was British. He was on vacation. He is British. He's from UK. He apparently drank 12 of the menu's various cocktails when he returned to his room at the Royal Decameron Club Caribbean in St. Anne, where he later died. A pathologist later said the 53-year-old man, his cause of death was acute gastroenteritis due to alcohol consumption. An initial investigation into Southern's death found that he had been drinking brandy and beer throughout the morning. Then he ran into 2 Canadian women celebrating a birthday. They told him they were trying to complete the 21 cocktail challenge before midnight as part of their festivities. Does not know how quickly he consumed the 12 drinks. Southern's family blames the lack of proper medical attention at the resort in his death. And they also needed to set up a GoFundMe to help bring their father's body home from Jamaica.
So let me get this straight. He bumps it. He's on vacation by himself in Jamaica.
Right.
Bumps into he's Canadian.
He's with his family and he's with some of his family members in Jamaica.
But he hangs out with these 2 Canadian women?
He runs into two Canadian women that are celebrating a
Keep in
birthday.
mind, they're residents of the Commonwealth, so I can understand, he's not, crossing any borders and whatnot. But they're the ones who are partaking in this 21 drink challenge.
Correct. And apparently he had already been drinking prior to that when he decided
Beer and
to
brandy.
join them. Yeah, when he decided to join them in taking on this challenge.
Now, I have a question. I've been, thanks to my current relationship, I've traveled the world,
You have,
in a
yes.
ways that I haven't before. In none of the hotels that I have been at or the resorts, I've never sat there and said, "Hey, show me a list of every beverage that you can make, and I'm going to have one of them."
Well, I guess it was listed as like a challenge by the resort. Like it listed all of them and said, can you drink all of these by in a complete day. Now I don't know if they would give you a gift of some sort or how exactly that plays out, but that seems to be why he did that exactly.
Isn't it safe to say that that's irresponsible by the resort to encourage, a guest to drink 21 different alcoholic beverages? I also imagine as the night starts to progress, they start making those drinks weaker and weaker.
You would think, but yes, I would say it is definitely, not something that the resort probably should recommend, and I would imagine probably will, not do anymore. I feel.
You have some very interesting challenges at some of the hotels that your company runs. Is that not correct?
No, that would actually not be correct.
I remember you telling me a story about one of the hotels that you have in, I think you said it was Syracuse, where they have a spicy burrito challenge. Is that not
Um,
correct?
I think you may have that mistaken with somebody else.
You sure? Because I remember you specifically telling me that you had been strategizing with the local general manager on this spicy burrito challenge. Because I remember you pointing out that you thought that the real devilish part was that you have an hour to ingest the burrito, but you cannot use your mouth to ingest it. It has to be rectally applied. And
Really?
I specifically remember saying, "Ron, this is a terrible idea." And you were like, "Listen, we'll get a couple people to do it. Maybe one of them dies, but it'll be great publicity for the hotel."
Maybe that was when I was doing all that coding recently.
Mm.
Perhaps I may have blanked a little bit on that one.
I also recall this was probably about 4 to 6 months ago. You had
But this has gotta stop.
Sorry, I haven't used that in a while. You haven't made me use it, but I felt
yeah,
it
but
was
I hadn't even
necessary.
gotten to my anal beads challenge.
Brian, yeah, you mentioned a few moments ago about our very popular new segment, but the drag queens are the
Sure.
problem. In addition to the story that you spoke about, we also have additional stories, unfortunately, to be able to share. Let me find the first mugshot here. So we have a math teacher that filmed an 11-year-old boy in a bathroom stall and sexually abused him at the leadership program held at the prestigious all boys Regis High School in the Upper East Side there in New York City. Aloya Lopez said her son was molested by teacher Matthew Chicas, who is his not a mugshot. This is his school photo right here during the 2022-2023 academic year. He was arrested in April and charged with endangering the welfare of a child and attempted unlawful surveillance after the April 15th incident. Apparently, the mother claims that the school never reported the abuse by the teacher and instead tried to suppress it, adding that her son reported the alleged abuse to another teacher at the school.
Can we talk about his collar? I mean, I know that the sexual abuse is something that we should really be upset by, but
Sure.
I'm genuinely concerned about how distracted I have become by the collar. If you're going to go necktie, you don't go with the button down collar.
I mean, I would have to agree with that.
Second of all, is he needs to flatten that out because it's buckling under. and it looks like somebody who works at a Blockbuster that put a tie on as the manager. It looks like a Blockbuster manager, not the kind of guy that's going to diddle your child during second period.
I'm surprised you're not also speaking about whatever he has going on as a hairstyle there.
Okay, well, that I was going to say was he's still in his emo phase. He got all excited that Blink-182 was on tour again. And, the thing about that haircut is you can take you take the tie off, unbutton that shirt. He's got his August Burns Red t-shirt on underneath. He's ready for the show.
He's ready to join the Black Parade at any moment. No? Now that Mike,
I don't know what's going on with the hair, in all honesty. He's got, like, now that I'm looking at it, he's got this thing that's coming across.
Right.
He's got this coming across or across. Yeah. So he's got this coming across. Then he's got this coming across.
There are a couple sections that seem combed forward, but then one of the combed forward sections seems to also be brushed off to the left. It's impressive in its ludicrousness.
Now, do you think that this is part of the Donald Trump Hair School for Men program?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And his hair seems to also blend with his eyebrows. It's a look. That's all I'm saying. It's a look, and we're not fans of it.
Not fans at all. I hope he goes to jail for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, he's charged, and we will see if there is any follow up to that.
Because Ron, we do a great job of follow up on these stories
consistently.
Whenever there's an update on a story that Ron and Brian featured, you can guarantee that we will talk about it.
We're going to bring it to light. We are also not fans of Patrick Heron, former Philadelphia police officer. He was facing some child assault charges previously. He has now been charged an additional 233 charges. The crimes date back to his time as an officer from 2005 to 2017. The initial case only involved a little over a dozen counts related to unlawful sexual contact with young girls, sexually illegal and inappropriate photography with young girls, retaliation and harassment against victims and witnesses, both adult and juvenile. These additional ones were added on as more revelations came to light. With the additional 233 charges, his bail, which was set at $2 million back in September of 2022, has since been revoked.
But the right is, I'm sure, up in arms and just outraged by this.
I'm pretty sure. I'm sure you'll hear Tucker Carlson speaking about this. I'm sure you'll hear Megyn Kelly, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of them talking about this.
Bobert.
He's really got no neck.
No neck.
It's just a solid lump of flesh.
My God, he must. Every T-shirt must be like a high neckline on him. He must be able to wear a shirt for years without it ever becoming a problem.
Right. He must go to that big and swollen neck store we saw in the mall the other day.
And I know this is an unflatter angle, but the guy's got no chin.
Right.
I mean, it literally just goes like this, and then right into like his neck beard.
Like if he had to wear like a tie, like our previous guy, he probably choked to death. There's not a dress shirt
it's certainly not. I mean, if you're about to be molested by a guy, this is not the guy you want to molest you.
I mean, I can imagine you want to be molested by any guys, but you're saying this is probably more along the lines of, like, if you had to be molested by this guy or like Brad Pitt, for example, you'd go Brad Pitt.
This guy is not going to be bringing flowers to your molestation. He's not. He's going to stink of cheap booze. And he's going to be complaining about his wife while he is trying to finger your rectum.
He's going to have hoagie breath.
Hoagie breath. Also, do you not feel any need to defend your city? I mean, Pennsylvania, what are we talking here?
I mean, we see this everywhere, Brian. It's not exclusive to Philadelphia.
Yeah, but it is. But don't you don't feel that this is? I mean, I know you feel less of a need to defend him because you're suburban, PA. You're not actually in city limits of Philadelphia. If I was somebody who lived actually inside Philadelphia, I would be very uncomfortable. Oh, hold on a second. Yes, this is uncomfortable. Yes.
What I'm going to do, Brian, is I'm going to cut you off there. We're going to go to Kenosha, where a 66-year-old pastor is accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting a child over several years. David DeBurge was charged this month with repeated felony sexual assault of same child, at least 3 violations of first-degree sexual assault and other sexual assault-related felonies in Kenosha Circuit Court. Now, quite a tough judge here, imposing a $25,000 cash bond for him to get out. Preliminary hearing is set for July 7th. As a condition of his bond, DeBurge is not to have contact with minors.
Did you say he was in DeBarge? To the beat of the rhythm of the night, dancing to the morning light.
So the situation came to light last year when a Kenosha police officer spoke with a person who wished to report a prior sexual assault that occurred in a home between 2012 and 2016, starting when the person was in 3rd or 4th grade. DeBarge reportedly assaulted the complainant as punishment for misbehaving or rebelling. The person also reportedly told investigators DeBurge would watch them take showers and take pictures of them fully naked. When questioned by police, DeBurge denied the allegations, but said that he disciplined the children in a, quote, old school way.
Now, old school way. So old school way is putting your pecker in a child's rectum.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that could be interpreted, I suppose.
I hope this guy fries to death.
It would be nice. It would definitely be nice.
Is there any way that cut on his upper forehead was delivered by a police officer who was angry?
You know, you would hope so, but he is an older white male, so typically they get handled pretty well when being processed.
So disappointed. And obviously we need to end that bit with, despite everything you heard, the drag queens are the problem.
That's right. The drag queens are the problem.
We need to focus on them.
Also very problematic this week, Brian. The final decisions coming down from the Supreme Court on a variety of cases that they were hearing. Some of the bigger ones. I don't know why I'm tripping over my words tonight.
Do you want me to start, Ron?
If you would like.
Okay.
If you would like.
So we are winding down. I don't believe we're done with the Supreme Court session, correct?
No, that this was the end of their current session, these last rulings.
If you can describe for me, why is it that they do not work 52 weeks out of the year like everyone else? Why are they on like a school schedule where they get to take the summers off?
That's your biggest concern?
That's my first concern.
Okay.
So we're ending the current year of the Supreme Court. As many of you are aware, we are looking at a theologically split 6-3 Supreme Court. There are 6 conservatives, 3 of which were put up by Donald Trump because the left is fucking weak when facing adversity. You've got 6 Republican, you've got 3 Democrat, which basically is the definition of a supermajority. So long as the conservative judges band together, they basically can run through whatever type of agenda that they have. Clearly this year, hold on, Gravedigger. Whoa, Gravedigger 6'9" wants me to shut the fuck up. Hold on, Gravedigger, I don't think you understand. I'm the fucking champ of this bitch. So you telling me to shut the fuck up is not going to happen. The only thing that can make me shut the fuck up is Ron telling me
to shut the fuck up.
This got to stop.
See, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to silence you in a situation like this, Brian.
All right. Nobody tells me to shut the fuck up except Ron.
Now, the other thing is...
Hold on a second. Now we know sexual tension between Gravedigger 69 and I. It's getting strong. Gravedigger wants to suck my penis while I perform some type of oral.
I mean, could you technically toss his salad while he gives you oral?
Depends how flexible Gravedigger is.
Good point. Good point.
Keep
Gravedigger,
going, Ron.
also
Okay.
my favorite monster truck. Keep going. You were the one talking.
Oh yeah. So basically, as they were finishing this season, I say season like it's The Bachelor. This season of the Supreme Court, 3 very strong cases with huge impacts on American life came across the Supreme Court. They had been deliberating for a while. And basically what we were looking at was decisions that have reverberated through American life. I mean, where do we want to start? Do we want to start off with affirmative action?
Let's start with affirmative action, Brian, which was struck down. Race-based affirmative action in college admissions was shown to be unconstitutional in some way.
Now, what are your thoughts on this? Now, I believe the original case here was a Asian student at Harvard, or who had applied at Harvard, was rejected. And this kid basically was able to step forward and said, I was highly qualified for admissions into Harvard. And there were a plentiful number of students that were admitted into Harvard who had lower grades than me, lower SAT scores, et cetera. And that affirmative action should not be something that we encourage.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge here is that even though affirmative action was ruled illegal, the Supreme Court said that they could consider, if someone submitted an essay with their application talking about how discrimination impacted them, universities can still look at it from that light. It's just a matter of they're not able to do it from just a straight check off your ethnicity in this box here. Like that part will go away. But if you're an African American and want to write as part of your application essay, this is how discrimination has affected me in this country as an African American, then colleges can use that under consideration.
So, but you're saying that an LA Hispanic street gang member should be able to automatically be allowed?
No, I'm just saying I'm not.
No, because you just said that you said an essay could go right in. God damn, how did you walk into that one? Dare you? Sure. How dare you walk into that one? That's not even funny.
No, it's not. I'll give you that much. But again, I think this shows the disconnect again with the court versus the country. A majority of Americans are in favor of affirmative action programs. People are not in favor of quotas, but they do admit that a racial disparity does exist in this country, and a portion of them believe that there needs to be some kind of affirmative action program in place. So technically, and even Yale and University of North Carolina came out and said that they will adhere to the letter of the law, which states that we are able to, evaluate people based on their essays, and admit people that way. So I think you're going to see a level of malicious compliance from some of these universities. Sure. And again, listen, no one likes to be told you're not good enough to attend somewhere, but to have the gravitas, if you will, to have to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, I don't know. It's a shitty thing.
But yet these same schools are going to continue to give priority status to children of alumni.
Right.
That's legal.
I mean, but it's also, you could say it's also an argument as to why affirmative action is necessary, because you've got these families that, due to generational wealth, have been able to attend these universities generation after generation after generation, while other families have not been able to break through and get kids into these schools.
Question. Just to be, I was reading a bunch of articles and somebody made a very interesting point, which is we have had affirmative action on the books, specifically when it comes to college admissions, for 40 plus years.
Yes.
And the writer was making the argument of how long do we have these on the books without us realizing that they have not actually helped the communities that they are supposed to help?
Well, I think the challenge is it was, as with many government programs, it was put into effect and nothing else was done to try and fix the situation. Nothing else was done to, try and deal with wealth inequity, healthcare inequity, housing inequity, all of those other things. So
So then, don't you think to a certain extent that we should be looking in those areas in terms of maybe a wealth redistribution,
I would agree
a
with
better
that.
focusing of government resources than to
Also a
sit
good
there and
plan.
say that when it comes to Harvard College looking at who to accept, instead of looking for the people with the best scores, let's take X percent from this ethnicity, Y percent from there. Why aren't we actually taking a stronger approach or a better approach, or in some ways, because it's so pathetic, some approach to helping the communities where these ethnicities are the predominant citizens of?
Yeah, and those are all excellent points you've just made. Although Billy makes an excellent point, Brian, that you often hear that you're not good enough to sit in the front few rows of wrestling shows. When
I
will the
had a
Supreme
taste. I
Court
did it
deal with
once.
that? Yeah.
Listen, I did it once. I had a taste. I did not behave. I'll be the first to admit it. Tony, if you're listening, Tony Khan at Tony AEW Elite.
But this has gotta stop.
You're getting away from Supreme Court, Brian. So one of the other things that the Supreme Court did was to strike down Joe Biden's plan to forgive
Sure.
millions in student loans. The Supreme Court said that he did not have the authority to forgive the loans in the way that he tried to do so. Now it appears that he will try and get that student loan relief via legislation. So, but with a Republican-controlled House, I would imagine that will be a very tough sell.
Oh, it's going to be terrible.
What's interesting to me is it wasn't even a huge amount for a lot of people that they were going to, what was it, $10,000 or $20,000 in student loans that was supposed to be forgiven, but so many people owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. Like, I feel in a situation like this, wouldn't it be like the big situation seems to be the amount of interest that these people are being charged on their student loans. Like, I feel it would be a better course to regulate the interest so that they can actually pay down. So they can actually pay down their principal.
Ron, are you talking about regulating the open market?
Sorry, my apologies.
This sounds like communism. This is the overreach of government. Listen, I'm going to be, I think we've seen it over the last couple of years, which is the disillusionment of the high school graduates with understanding any benefit to a 4-year degree,
Right.
Specifically to a out-of-state private school. I'll be brutally honest here with my personal take on this, which is let the marketplace speak for it. If enough students stop going to Harvard, if enough students stop going to Yale, a Yale education becomes meaningless. And suddenly Yale has to start begging kids to go to Yale, as opposed to doubling the cost for going for higher education every couple of years. Kid, stop going to Yale. It's something that I have been very pleased with is seeing these young voices on social media talking about how they are looking to get a job, in a professional trade, plumber, carpenter, and not necessarily sitting there saying, yes, I need to, become an English degree major from SUNY Albany, because that's going to set me on the path to professional accomplishments.
I mean, I've done all right for myself.
Yeah, but don't you think you've done all right for yourself because of yourself and not because of your 4-year degree?
No, I would agree with that. I mean, I've often said, were I to do it again, were I to have to do it now, I wouldn't spend the money that I spent on a college education, 30 years ago.
Correct. Well, also, I would also point out that, the cost of our 4-year degree was pennies on the dollar from what they're charging kids now.
Well, exactly.
I would be very hard pressed to sit there and explain to a high school senior right now that they need to go for a private education.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you and I were in college, it was $750 a semester for 15 credit hours. And one
Sure.
year they raised it to 1,500 a semester. And we were pissed off at that. But like
Sure.
I talked to kids now and I was like, yeah, it cost me $1,500 a semester. They're like, a credit hour? I'm like, no.
The whole,
The
yeah.
whole GD semester.
And those kids are talking about state schools.
Right.
They're
Yeah, I
not
mean,
even, yeah. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see college graduate, but, it's, let the marketplace speak for itself. I mean, to me, brutally, honestly,
to
I'm not
me,
so sure. For me, I understand that affirmative action works on a individual level. I understand that the individual who is applying for acceptance into a college, because they're checking off certain boxes, they're seeing a benefit from it. But what I have not seen is over the 40, 50 years that it has been in place, that there has been a significant change in the societal um, uh, markup,
well, and
makeup.
I
That's
think
what I'm going for.
I think to your point earlier about affirmative action not really fixing things, I think Biden's plan to excuse whether it was $10,000 or $20,000 in student loan debt doesn't change the issue. It doesn't change the issue of predatory lending. It doesn't
Sure.
change the issue of out of control costs for not just going to college, but all the affiliated costs as far as housing,
Sure.
textbooks, things of that nature. But
Butt plugs.
It's amazing to me that the GOP is so against student loan relief, but this is the same GOP that now wants to push the voting age to 21. So at 18 you can commit to a lifetime of
Sure.
debt, but you shouldn't be allowed to vote at that point.
At 18, you can join the military. Let's keep that going.
But you shouldn't be able
You
to
shouldn't
vote.
be able to vote. No,
Right.
no, 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 no.
The other Supreme Court ruling that came down said that a Christian web designer can turn away business related to same-sex weddings. This was a graphic artist in Colorado who says she wants. Now, again, granted, this individual did not have a same-sex couple that had come to her yet to ask her to build a website for their wedding.
What?
She just wanted. Yes.
Run that by me again.
All right. So
I know the story. I did not know that this was a theoretical case that she was going to court on.
it was a 100% theoretical case. She wanted to expand her business to design custom websites that celebrate impending marriages, but there was a law in Colorado that would have forced her to do same-sex wedding websites. But
Sure.
she, as a Christian, said that her marriage is limited to a man or woman. So she sued under the pretext that she did not want to potentially be sued or have to abide by the law in Colorado.
Okay. I'm going to, may I have the floor for a moment?
Please, the floor is yours, my friend.
Now, there were some stories that popped up within the past year, I would say, maybe a year ago, where there was the wedding cake. I don't remember, maybe California, where there was a bakery that did not want to do a wedding cake for a gay couple. And I took the stance of, no, they should be allowed to pick and choose who their customers are. And if they do not want to do cakes for gay marriages, well, then so be it. Good for them. And I hope that a bakery, a competitor, advertises that they are willing to do cakes for gay weddings. And I hope everybody who is having a gay friendly, a queer wedding, whatnot, all go to that other bakery and give them so much business that they put the bigots out.
Well, I think
I took that stance,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
But I don't agree with me anymore. I don't agree with me anymore because
Well,
there are certain. I read something where it said there are certain areas where there is no competitors. There are small towns in Georgia where there is only one bakery, and you are giving them a license to discriminate. And at one point this week, I was like, well, that's okay if she doesn't want to make a website for a gay marriage, but like it's not okay for housing purposes. That if you're
Well,
a landlord and you're
this
renting,
is the issue. This is the big issue that people are saying about this ruling is, this is the situation where, now a Christian graphic artist has, said, she doesn't have to make a wedding website. And you could argue whether a wedding website is a necessity, whether there's other people in the area that can provide that service or anything else.
this was
But
ruled free speech.
the danger of this ruling then becomes, where else does this ruling get applied to? If a landlord says it's against my belief to rent apartments to same-sex couples, can this same argument then be applied to that situation as well?
No, because this situation is specifically referencing free speech. That there are no examples of, say, hospitals or housing or medical care where it is about free speech in your First Amendment.
I get that part, but
This time's gotta stop.
you turn the tables on me. I get that part, but with this Supreme Court, could you see if a case got to the Supreme Court where a landlord didn't want to rent to a couple because they were same sex? Can you say with 100% certainty that this is not
only a matter of time?
Is this just the first step in a part to continue to strip away rights from the LGBTQ community?
Question, Ron. What are your thoughts about thinning the court? Adding justices?
Listen,
hold up before you answer that. What are your thoughts about term limits for Supreme Court justices? This is one of the few places in government where it is indefinite that these appointments are made.
I think I don't know that necessarily adding more people to the Supreme Court is the answer, because then the next Republican president could just add more and so on and so on. But I agree with you. There should be term limits. There should be ethics codes, and it was interesting that John Roberts, made the comment the other day after all these rulings came out that, he was upset as to how many Democrats felt the need to speak against the court and its rulings. So not only do these people have lifetime appointments, but you've got the Chief Justice feeling that they're beyond reproach, that they shouldn't be talked about, that their word is final.
I think that there is genuinely a loss of respect for the Supreme Court that is also happening with the other two branches of our government, in the sense of, I think if you go back to the 1970s and whatnot, Billy, I'm sure you're already going back, where there genuinely was this perception that the Supreme Court was looking at the Constitution, looking at the cases in front of them, and putting forth, constitutional rightness of what these cases had and how they were going to be decided. Now, I think there is an absolute understanding that the cases that are being ruled on are being ruled by six very, I don't want to say agenda driven, but there is very little free thinking. Right. It is very much, I'm a conservative judge, I have to vote this way. I'm a liberal judge, I have to vote this way. It is almost all of these cases this year are going down right down 6-3, where it's just, you got the Brett Kavanaugh.
I like beer.
God damn it, Ron. You got Brett Kavanaugh. You've got Barbara Ann Scovey, whatever her name was, where
Amy
it's
Barrett
just
Cohen.
Close.
Like beer.
Where all their rulings are literally exactly what you would think they were going to be. So there very much isn't this impression amongst the American populace that the Supreme Court is openly considering each case on its merits, so much as using each case as an opportunity to push their already predetermined agenda.
Well, and
so
here's
fuck
again,
John Roberts. No offense. Fuck him. Fuck him with the spicy burrito in Syracuse. That's all I have to say.
It's the hypocrisy again.
Is that a spicy burrito in my rectum?
Like Clarence Thomas. has said in the past that he would have never been able to go to the college that he went to if it weren't for affirmative action. Yet
And
he
he also
voted it
said he would
down.
never be able to marry his wife. He
Right.
would never been able to marry his white wife had it not been for the Supreme Court making
And again,
liberal rulings.
It's okay to forgive PPP loans during the pandemic, but you can't
Why
forgive
not?
student loans. You got that money. You know how much the Catholic Church, wrote off in PPP loans during the pandemic?
I think I want to say about 30 or 40 million.
$3.5 billion.
Oh, does that boil my water? And none of that is
$3.5 billion in PPP loans that the various Catholic churches in this country
so
were
they
able
can
to just get.
So that they could keep paying their in-house legal staff to continue working these cases of children that were raped by priests that were shuffled around.
Right.
Fuck that makes me angry.
And I'm going to go back to last week's episode real quick. This is why, like we talked about how no one really gave a shit that 5 billionaires were imploded in a sub under the sea. And I think people felt that it was just the whole wealth inequity. It's also this part of it. It's also the fact that billionaires need to feel the need to pump money into the political system and buy Supreme Court seats. We can talk about how Greg Kavanaugh had his mortgage paid off, had his credit card debt paid off, all that before he went on to. But this is, in addition to the wealth, this is the stuff, the billionaires in this country impacting the lives by getting a Supreme Court that votes down affirmative action, that votes down regulations, that gets rid of student debt relief, that takes away LGBTQ rights. This is why people get pissed off. We're going to see a revolution in this century, Brian.
Armed revolution?
God willing. God willing. Sorry, you were.
But I will also hold on. I'm also going to go against everything I've said recently. And
okay.
This wasn't a 6-3 court. There were cases where the court did not go along party lines. I don't want to say I did any research, but there was the case where the Supreme Court struck down state legislatures. I believe it was North Carolina that put forth a law that they should have the ability to overrule the vote of the population within the state for statewide and national elections. If they felt that there was some type of fraud going on, Supreme Court ruled that down. That's clearly setting up Trump for 2024. They also overruled a Alabama redistricting plan. Jesus, sorry. Why am I really just fucking up that word? They struck down an Alabama redistricting law, which was putting the black vote or the African-American vote within a small number of counties, such that they were taking away the impact of a majority. I believe that Alabama is 60 to 65% African-American, and the gerrymandering that was going on in the Alabama state legislature would have put them in the 30% number of black controlled counties. And there was also a refusal on the Supreme Court's part to overrule the allowance of a over-the-counter abortion drug that is still on the market, despite the 6-3 Republican to conservative to liberal mindset of the justices who struck down Roe v. Wade a year ago.
Right.
I like it when you go, right, because that's how I know you weren't fucking listening. You weren't paying attention.
Listening to you. I agree with you. I don't want to ruin what you just said by trying to add more to it. I say right because
you could say, Jesus, Brian, it sounds like you did a little bit of work.
God damn, you did your homework on this.
I did.
All right, Brian, before it gets too late, we did want to get to celebrity obituaries this week.
Yep.
Who's the first one we want to obituize?
There was a weightlifter that died that was very Joe Lindler.
So it was, hold on, I got his name here. You have it here somewhere.
It was Joe Linder.
Was it Joe Linder? Joe Lindner,
Lindner.
also known online
Statics.
as Joe Statics, passing away at the age of 30. I mean, I don't know. Is that a all natural body? I can't tell.
There's no way. First off, I mean, the photoshopping in this picture is ludicrous. Why is his belly all blurred?
Maybe he used to wear a corset. I don't know. I don't have these type answers.
Quick, Janelle, what's going on here? Talk to me, because this is not human. This does not look. This looks like the alien in human form.
You would think she would.
As if I'm going to pretend that he's going to eat those cheeseburgers and fries.
Well, weightlifters, they need to get calories in.
No, he's not getting him that way. He needs to suck the blood of children.
All right. Well, clearly we don't know who that person was.
Nope, no
Brian,
idea.
do you know Polaris guitarist Ryan Siu?
What?
Ryan Siu, guitarist for the band Polaris, Australian metalcore band, passed away at the age of 26. Cause of death has not been given.
Nope. Very sad. Sad when any of the youth of today become the dead of tomorrow.
But not that we rank deaths around here, but there are definitely some passings that hit harder than others. And I think the fact that Alan Arkin passing away at the age of 89, won an Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine. He was in Argo. He was in one of my all-time favorite movies, Glengarry Glen Ross. What was else? The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. Just a ton of acting, most recently in the Kaminsky Project with Michael Douglas on Netflix. And
Ron?
Again, yes. Sorry.
Back on this one?
All right. I'll let you take it.
Oh, shit. That's tight. We all on ourselves tonight. This one's for Alan Arkin. You died. That ain't right. Oh, yeah. Alan to the Arkin. Alan to the Arkin. Your favorite Cincy player was Barry Larkin. Alan to the Arkin. Yeah. Born in the streets of Brooklyn, 5 blocks from the subway, 1934. He was wild, but the streets, but he didn't need more. Oh, yeah, Alan Arkin. Yeah, moved out to California at the age of 11. Los Angeles, just a taste of sunny heaven. Grew up studying acting and moved back east. Knew we had to get on the stage so he can tame the beast. Started on Broadway. Starred in a bunch of plays, but he did real good. This acting ain't no phase. Yeah. Alan Arkin. Yeah. And I have no fucking clue that you were a chosen Jew. Oh, Alan Arkin. We're all lost without you. Kept on going, moved back to CA. Became a leading actor, many said no way. His career kept going, became a household name. The Russians are coming, yeah, Arkin's winning this game. Starred against Hepburn, Audrey, not Kate. Best known for his role in The In-Laws, he was never late. Glengarry Glen Ross, the Pink Panther. Likely died of heart problems, not cancer. Little Miss Sunshine, he won an Academy Award. Get Smart in Argo, he'd only drive a Ford. And I have no fucking clue that you were a chosen Jew. Oh, Alan Arkin, we're all lost without you. He died at the age of 89. Was worth 11 points in our death pool. Never smoked bong only joints. And I'll say it one more time. Alan Arkin, your death is a crime. You were married 3 times. You had a great career. Now you're in heaven. Learning new lines. Peace, Alan Arkin. We out.
Oh, shit. You know, it's been a while since you had done a slow jam for us. I have to say, that was on point, my friend. Definitely on point.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like it felt good to get back into it.
Right?
But these slow jams are going to happen more frequently, people.
All right.
Alan Arkin this week, only going to get better.
Real quick, Brian, before we wrap things
Wait a
up
second.
here.
I'd just like to interrupt with this.
Yeah.
This is painful.
That was some of the feedback we received during your slow jam.
She must have been talking about our Supreme Court analysis because she clearly was not talking about my Alan Arkin slow jam.
Brian, what are you watching?
Ooh, okay. So I finished season 2 of the Bear on Hulu.
Okay.
Have you watched it?
I have not either season.
Okay. Have you seen season 1 at all?
Not. I have not seen any episodes.
So the story, I'm going to say this, and season 2 crystallized in my mind of why I love this show and what made this show so great. It's the story of a Chicago resident, grew up in an Italian family. Family owned a Italian beef sandwich shop. Basically, you know, they cut the roast beef into the au jus, soak it on some bread, slap it, call it a beef sandwich, and they would sell them. The kid decides he wants to become a chef, goes overseas for a couple of years, then goes to New York where he becomes a executive chef at a Michelin-rated restaurant. Ooh, he made it. Then moves back home to Chicago after his brother commits suicide so he can run the family business. Sounds not all that interesting, but I'll tell you where this show absolutely gets me.
Okay.
That this show is an ode, an homage, a love story to anxiety. If you experience anxiety, if you understand anxiety, if you understand unnecessary worrying, if you understand the ability of the brain to have an ability to just have nonstop worrying thoughts that are out of control, that cannot be logically constrained, this show is for you. Because so many of these characters, in fact, all of them are up against these deadlines, these restrictions, where anxiety is basically controlling their life. And you realize just how out of control that they're reacting to their anxiety and not controlling it, or not being able to be in control of their life. Season 1 really kind of dabbled in it. Season 2 basically just became just a love story to anxiety. I was watching it with my girlfriend this the past week and a half, I guess, but we really I would say we knocked out about half the season this past week, where she started off sitting there and was basically saying to me that she just didn't understand the show, didn't really understand why I loved it so much. And I looked at her, I'm like, that's because you don't have anxiety. I'm like, you're not sitting there worrying 24/7. Like, these characters are worrying about everything, and they're showing you. And the editing, the stop-start editing of the show is in line with the this manic level of worrying these characters are going through. I was like, this show, like, if you have anxiety, you watch the show and you're like, oh yeah, I know this. I get this. This is my day. Like, this guy is experiencing this because he's trying to open a restaurant. I experience it with my little, rinky dink fucking, like hotel job. Nothing. I really thought I was going to get a response on that one. But it is an homage to anxiety. And if you don't have it, you may not appreciate this show as much as I do. If you do have anxiety, watch this show, wrap yourself in it, like a security blanket, and you will feel at home. What are you watching, Ron?
So clearly I need to be watching The Bear.
I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
So watched the there's a documentary movie, not a series, on Netflix called Take Care of Maya. It is the story about how basically the Florida child welfare system basically abducted a child from her parents. Very sad story. I don't want to give up a lot of what goes on in there, but it speaks to the privatization of things that were government run and how, for-profit medical models are not a great thing in this day and age. Also watched the American Gladiators docuseries on Netflix, Muscles and Mayhem, the unauthorized story of American Gladiators.
Can I ask you a question?
You sure can.
How unauthorized was it, considering that
I wondered
almost
that.
all of the interviews were with people who were on the show, who were the director of the show, who were working for the production company of the show? How unauthorized could it be?
I think technically the guy who created the show, the Elvis impersonator, or Samuel
Yeah.
Goldwyn Company would have need to authorize it. But yeah, they say it's unauthorized, but they really spoke to all of the people you would have wanted to hear
Sure.
from. So
What were your
it's
thoughts
5
on it?
episodes. It was very interesting. Again, I don't know that I was surprised about a lot of what went on in there. They talk about, drug addiction, injuries,
Hmm?
the powerful screwing over line, the staff. I mean, it was an interesting throwback. Like, you look back on it now, like I used to watch American Gladiator when I was younger. And
I
like,
loved
you
the
didn't,
game when they were shooting the tennis balls at
yeah,
people as
yeah.
they ran from different obstacles. That was my favorite.
But looking back, we didn't know what we know now about things like concussions and CTE and sports
Mhm.
injuries and things of that nature. And I think, we looked at it more as entertainment, and the fact that these people were on both sides, both the contestants and the gladiators, were getting the shit beat out of each other.
And not only that, but they were doing it with absolutely no safety net.
Correct.
Not only from from a workplace safety perspective. I mean, these people were landing on hard floors.
Right.
We're using ad hoc safety equipment, but also from a financial perspective, which was they were really, they were getting paid as, talent per episode. There was no residuals. There was no merchandising.
No merchandising money. Yeah.
It literally was, you get paid to show up, and if you don't like it, you don't like what we're paying you. Fucking leave. We'll replace you.
We'll
in
find
a
someone
heartbeat.
else with muscles that can come do what you do. But
Of
I
course,
would recommend it. Also, I finished season 2 of From on MGM Plus, and finished season 1 of Silo on Apple TV, and also there's a new series on Apple TV with Idris Elba called Hijack. The first 2 episodes are out. Watch that. That is also very good. I would check.
Now,
that
I have a
out.
question about that season, the one with Idris Elba.
Yes.
Is this the one where he goes up against Avon Barksdale?
I don't know who Avon Barksdale is.
You son of a fucking bitch. You never watched The Wire. I swear to God, I hate you so much right now. You never watched The Wire?
I did not. I have to admit, never. I
Do
tried
me
to
a
watch
favor?
it. I tried watching it. I tried, and it insists upon itself. I just did.
When was the last time you tried?
Probably like a year or so ago.
Hate you. It's one of the greatest shows on television right now, ever.
All right, Brian. I think it's time we wrap up. We get ready for After Dark, which, if you don't know, which you should know, because we certainly talk about it enough. We are going to be starting After Dark.
In about 17 minutes.
17 minutes. It's 9:30. We do exclusive content for our Patreon subscribers. Subscribe at the $10 level or higher. Listen, everybody's saying, Janelle's saying, shame on you, Ron. The Wire was so effing good. Sure. I'm trying to get through Brockmire before I get to The Wire. So as soon as I'm now sticking to show titles that rhyme. So it's Brockmire, The Wire, and then I have to find something after that rhymes with Wire. So Molly Maguire, perhaps. Jerry Maguire, I might flip over to movies and go that direction. Not sure yet. I think this 10% is kicking in on me. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little.
Do you have another one lined up? Because I sure do.
Not another 10%.
I've got another. First off, I have another beer. I got another Imperial Sunshine, and I've also done a shot and 3/4 of Jack Daniels during this.
Nice. Well, then I will. We should wrap this up so we could go grab a beer.
Did Allie just misspell the Sopranos?
But they also don't rhyme with The Wire, Allie.
But did she misspell the Sopranos?
She threw an extra N in there, and we're okay with that.
She likes anything with an extra N word.
This is how we lose viewers, Brian. All right, Brian. Well, anything else?
Hold on. Janelle thinks it's funny. Janelle thinks it's funny.
Oh, that's so wrong. Very disappointed. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Episode 264.
Wrap it up.
Reminds
me, Ron. There was recently this time where somebody screamed, "Wrap it up" at an inappropriate time. But maybe
This time's gotta stop.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Patreon folks, we'll see you in 15 minutes. Everybody else, we will catch you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See